Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to the JAKIB Halftime Show. It's a scoreless half of football at Lambeau Field tonight. 0-0 ball game. One of the ugliest slugfest you'll ever see, but I kind of agree with the announcers. It's quite entertaining so far. Jalen Hurts just 7 of 13, 48 yards. Jordan Love 6 of 10 for 39 yards. Not a whole lot working in the football game tonight. In the first half, it's 0-0 at halftime. I'm going to be joined now by John McMullen. Johnny Mack joining me here on the halftime show. Johnny Mack, that's an ugly half of football, my man. 0-0 here. I don't think anybody expected this. What did you see out there in the first half, John?
Well, unless you like defense, I mean, it was pretty good from a defensive perspective. I think on both sides. I think you saw a lot of positive stuff from the Eagles. Nakobe Dean with that sack at the end of the half, with Green Bay threatening. Nolan Smith got credited, even though it wasn't a loss. He got his first sack back, so good to see Nolan back out there. I thought Jalen Phillips played very well.
Yeah.
He got the fumble recovery. I think a couple times he showed up both in the run game and the pass rushing game, so that's positive. And he started. That first Eagles drive was really impressive, and then it just derailed. Edgerrin Cooper made a great play with the peanut punch. Other than that, it was pretty ugly half from the Eagles offensively. And the same thing with Green Bay. They had a decent drive, and Jordan Love took a bad sack on the first drive, and that was the Jalix Hunt sack, which was more of a coverage sack. And then the last drive was okay for the Packers as well, and he sort of made a mistake again there. So those issues, and we talked about the turnovers. Neither team turned the football over much coming into this game. They both turned it over. So that's and we're sitting there 0-0. You don't see that too often. 125 yards for the Eagles, 83 for the Packers. So if anything, that first drive gave the Eagles a slight advantage, but they weren't able to finish. And here we are, 0-0 at the half.
Yeah, a lot of ugly in that, John. A couple things I think that are actually concerning here. Lane Johnson is number one. Penalties are probably number two for me. Let's start with Lane Johnson. John, that's one player, with the exception of the quarterback, you could make an argument that's one player you do not. Maybe the most important player you don't want to lose on this football team outside of QB1. What do you make of the loss of Lane Johnson? I don't know if you saw anything, if you think he might come back. Just your thoughts on that.
Wasn't looking good, and weird mirrored game. Then Elgin Jenkins goes down with a similar injury. It looked bad for him as well. I just, I don't expect to see Lane back in this game. Hopefully, it's not serious, and it's more than just a week or something like that. But it was clearly on the ankle. It was not the knee. Got carted off after he limped off. Wasn't putting a ton of weight. Was in a lot of pain. I mean, he's a tough guy. It wouldn't shock me, but it certainly wasn't trending in a positive direction. Secondary to that, and you're right about the history of this team, when Lane Johnson doesn't play, it's not positive. But the Eagles really found something over the past couple of weeks, and you saw it again early in this game with those big Fred packages, I like to call them, with those unbalanced looks with him as the extra offensive lineman, essentially playing a tight end role. And now he's got to play right tackle. And he's doing a decent job, and they're better equipped. He got out. I saw one big block he had, but if he's playing right tackle, you can't use those big Fred packages, which has been really effective to get the running game going. So it's sort of like a double whammy now that they've found that. So I mean, one of these two teams, though, I mean, it's there for both of them. If these offenses figure, I mean,
0-0, my God.
If these offenses can figure anything out, I mean, it's really
not a great half for Jalen Hurts. Not a great half for Jalen. Outside of the first drive, yeah.
A lot of poor throws. He got away with one. That one across his body, boy, that looked like an interception waiting to happen. Then that one drive, it was like pass, 3 passes in a row that were just ugly. He got bailed out once by the Green Bay defender who, I forget who it was, but the pass interference on Dallas Goedert, I mean, he didn't need the pass interference. I mean, that ball wasn't even close to Dallas. So, he's not looked sharp from an accuracy standpoint. But Jordan Love hasn't looked good either.
Oh,
he's arguably looked worse.
Yeah, I agree.
So we talked about what this offense, what the Green Bay offense would look like without Tucker Kraft. Well, it doesn't look like much.
No,
I mean, how good is that guy if he has that impact? I do think Jacobs and Barkley are sort of they're both playing okay. Jacobs is averaging 3.8, Barkley 3.7. It's like the exact same thing. Both of these teams struggling mightily. So, I mean, a lot of positive for the Eagles team. I thought Nakobe Dean looked great in this game. Yeah. Just so, I go back and forth on that because I want Jihad on the field. Then I see Nakobe on the field. I don't want to take Nakobe off the field. A little surprised Adoree Jackson got the start at corner in front of Keely Ringo. We didn't get to talk to Vic this week because of the bye. We got to talk to him prior to the bye. And, one thing Vic always says in basically every press conference is practice matters. So evidently Keely Ringo probably didn't have a good week at practice. And now you're back to Adoree Jackson. And we talked about Bennett and Jair Alexander. Looks like they're never going to make a decision on that other cornerback slot, but it really hasn't mattered. I mean,
they might just ride the hot hand all year, John. Whoever's got the I mean, that seems to be what they're going to do. All right, John, what are you expecting to see in this second half? I don't know how to answer my own question here. Do you have a response for me?
Well, I think both teams are going to be better because they almost have to be. Now, I think the Eagles were slightly better. Green Bay didn't convert a third down. They were 0 for 5. You mentioned both teams had false starts. Both teams had uncalled false starts. On Eagles on the tush push, the Packers on the sneak. But overall, I haven't seen a ton of issues from just a penalty standpoint, just with the officials kind of missing a few things. Weird half for Braden Mann. He had the one great punt, then a bad punt. Just, it's been a slog. But the Eagles, the one advantage might be the Eagles, that first drive was so long and so methodical. They got a big time of possession advantage. So maybe they could wear the Packers down in the fourth quarter. If you're looking for some advantage, maybe that's it. But I do think, this is the kind of game where I always talk about quarterbacks, and I talk about the difference between Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts can play poorly and then go make a couple plays in the fourth quarter and win a game. Yep.
So true.
You don't see that with other quarterbacks. And, Jordan Love's playing poorly. He's probably going to play poorly for the whole game. So maybe that's the biggest advantage for the Eagles. Yeah.
Maybe. Johnny Mac, we'll talk to you on the post-game show. We'll see how this game ends. Right now, it is 0-0. Not what I expected to be saying to you at halftime, but it is. John, well done. I'll talk to you in the post-game, my friend.
All right. Thanks, all.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. All right, there's Johnny Mac, John McMullen. I'm going to take some comments from the great people of JAKIB Nation. I won't be as kind as Johnny Mac. I think that was a pretty bad offensive performance, guys. Pretty bad performance from Jalen Hurts. Pretty bad performance from the offense. Pretty bad play calling from Kevin Patul. I mean, we had one play. It's 1st and 10. They complete an 8-yard pass. 2nd and 2, pass. 3rd and 2, pass. It's 20 degrees in Green Bay. Run the football. Run the ball. What are they doing? 2nd and 2 and 3rd and 2. Run the ball. I mean, now I sound like a classic sports radio caller. Run the ball. It's 20 degrees in Green Bay. 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2. Jalen's not on the mark tonight. All right, now look, the one thing John's right about, he's a resilient player. So maybe he comes back, but and has a better second half. But he's not seeing the field well. He's not throwing the ball. You know, it all changed after that fumble. You know, by the way, I know that's obviously not an ideal situation, but that's not really a fumble that's one of those fumbles in my eyes that I don't. It's obviously Hurts' fault, but that was a nice peanut punch, man. That was really well-timed peanut punch by Edgerrin Cooper there, second-year player. That was really nice. Sometimes you got to tip the hat. You know what I mean? That was a nice peanut punch there. But, you know, guys, there's one thing here. Look, it's first half. I understand there's a lot of stuff here, but one thing I'm really concerned on, Lane Johnson. If Lane Johnson is out, the whole complexion of this team changes. The whole complexion of everything about this offense and this team flips on its head completely. Because, as I mentioned to John, outside of Jalen Hurts, if you ask me one guy the Eagles cannot afford to lose, Lane Johnson would be top 3. Maybe the number 1 guy you cannot afford to lose. All right? So that's my number 1 concern in the first half is Lane Johnson going down. If you flip over to the defensive side, how about Jalen Phillips? By the way, I tried telling John on Birds 365 that Jalen Phillips is not a liability against the run. He made some great plays against the run tonight. He's a good player. He obviously helped. Shout out to Big Sills, by the way, who said Jalen Phillips would help Jalix Hunt. Well, Jalen Phillips completely collapsed the pocket. Jordan Love rolled back. Jalix Hunt got the sack. Well done by Jalen Phillips. I thought he had an awesome first half for the Eagles. So good stuff there. Guys, it's 0-0. It's 0-0 at halftime. I mean, what's the last NFL game we've had at 0-0? Let me make sure I get all my super chats. Dover's Army, 2nd and 2 straight. Yeah, this is what I said. It's 2 straight passes. 3rd and 15 running up the middle. So sick of this. Tanner time. Dover's calling for Tanner. Bobby Henderson. Phillips doing okay. Doing well, Bobby. I think he's one of the few bright spots in this game, I would say, Jalen Phillips. Walk out. What's up, brother? You're right. Run it. I mean, dude, it's 20 degrees at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I mean, hello? 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2. I will say, Jalen, you know, I know some people cannot get past the criticism of Jalen. Like, they do not even allow their brains to go there. Bad half of football by Jalen Hurts. Not accurate, not throwing the ball on time. That one throw across the middle that got broken up by Keyshawn Nixon. Goddard was open there. Let the ball go. Let the ball go. That was, if he got that ball out a half a second quicker, that was a completion for a first down. So Jalen Hurts not having a great game. That throw at the end to DeVonta Smith. By the way, for all the people who say the height of the offensive line has nothing to do with it, that underthrow to DeVonta Smith, you can literally see Hurts get on his tippy toes to try and see the receiver. I don't think he can always see over the offensive line. I think that's a big problem. But game's coming back, everybody. Eagles get the ball here to start the second half. Go tune into the JAKIB, the Green Zone coming up here. It's still streaming on the channel. For those who are not able to watch the game on YouTube TV, definitely go over there and listen. Appreciate all you guys doing it. Hit that like button. I will see you on the postgame show.
EAGLES Eagles.